Welcome everybody. In this video, I'm going to be quickly breaking down the importance of the breath. We always hear about people saying you need to breathe. Let's focus on the breath. You know, the more you breathe, the better it is. And we don't quite understand, for a lot of us, what that really means. So I want to try to break that down here today. Now, the importance of the breath is a lot of things, but the one that stands out to me the most is that it allows us to come back to the present moment. When our ideas are taking us into the future or thoughts are taking us into the past, it allows us to come back to the only moment that actually exists is right now. And especially when we're exercising and we're in a lot of these quote unquote pain signals, or what I call stress responses, it allows us to be connected to those stress responses instead of trying to get away from it. The big thing I see with a lot of people when we start to move, and a lot of my clients, is that when the stress kicks in, they stop breathing. And what happens is then that lets me know that they're not connected to this being, their vessel, and the communication that the vessel is trying to constantly relay to these people. And I know that because I'll tell people, hey, you just did that for 30 seconds. I could see you struggling. Where did you feel it? And they a lot of times have no idea. So I ask them to put their awareness into the breath, focus on the breathing, and then pay attention. And when people start to do that without fail, they start to know, hey, I feel it here. I feel it here. And then I'll tell them to keep breathing, because not only is it putting us in the present moment, but also the breath helps actually get the body into an alkalinic state. And when we know a lot of these foods, a lot of these, chemicals that we're constantly around are very acidic. And what we need is that alkalinic state in the breath. Long, slow, controlled inhales through the nose is allowing that alkalinic state of the blood, and many other components as well. It also picks up the rate and the pressure of the blood flow throughout the body. One of the big things with a lot of people today is a lack of this consistent blood flow. As we know, or we've learned, that a lot of these clogging of arteries has a lot of times to do with a lack of flow, like a lack of pressure. So the body is trying to close these vessels in order to increase the pressure flow. So as much as it's about the foods we eat and the acidic state of our blood and our body, it's also we're just not getting enough flow. So what will help tremendously is that airflow through the nose, taking nice long inhales, holding those breaths, and then a nice long exhale. It's allowing us to deal with stress responses, sympathetic, parasympathetic. It's getting us into this state of just calmness under stress. The one thing I say without fail with people is that we want to be comfortable, uncomfortable. And that sounds for a lot of people bizarre, but for many of you, that probably makes sense, because that is how we see change. That is how we overcome adversity. The obstacles in our life is facing those challenges head on. But we can't face those challenges head on if we're not present. We're not actually there in the moment, no matter how uncomfortable it is. We have to be present with it. And what will allow that is the breath. And as we move and we start to incorporate more of this idea and this knowledge about the breath, you all are going to start to experience it firsthand, just how powerful and how much more aware of your breath you are and can be. I know a lot of people that breathing is very uncomfortable for them. This idea of taking long inhales, especially through the nose, is very uncomfortable. But what we'll start to see is that when we breathe through the nose and not through the mouth, we're realigning the natural design of the body. When we breathe through the mouth, a lot of times it has an impact on the placement of our jaw, which has an effect on our neck placement, which is causing a lot of the slouching, which then affects our pelvis, which vice versa works its way up the other way as well. So there's a ton with how we breathe that we're going to dive into, but for today, I'm just trying to give quick overviews of the importance of the breath. And what I'm going to leave you with is this. I want you all to sit down, whether it's in a chair, on the ground, or stand, and just close your eyes and just pay attention to what happens when you try to breathe through your nose. Slow everything down. Try to be with it. If it's uncomfortable, see how it feels. Pay attention to what your body's trying to do. Is it trying to not do that? Is it trying to breathe through the mouth, even though you're not doing that or not purposely doing that? Pay attention to all those signals. Try to do that every day for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever you have available, and just take note. And each and every breath, we're going to try to focus on how much more air can we get in, how much longer can we hold it, and how much of a slower release can we give it as well. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.